Let's continue talking about the 6 keys to building relationships. This is from personal experience. We are on number 4. Yesterday was part 1. This episode is brought to you by brillianttribe.com. Check us out. That's where I help you grow your business regardless of where you're at. We've got coaches at all levels. And I do group coaching. I don't do the one-on-one anymore, but we have a lot of fun. It's an amazing community. Anyway, let's get started. We are on 4. Yesterday, we went 1 through 3. I told you a great story of the miller, his son, and the ass, just in case you missed it. It's a good one. But number 4 is offer value. And yes, you need to know what 1, 2, and 3 are because they are progressive, right? They build on each other. Number 4, I have here, it says offer value. I understand this principle at the core. Many of the things that I've built that you, the audience, have seen over the last, I think you've seen most of what I built over the last 11 years. But you've seen Lab Code Agents, which is free. You've seen me build out a Brilliant Tribe as a newsletter, which is free. You've seen, you're listening to this podcast, which is free. I've built out a lot of things where I provide value first. And I do the same thing in person. I do the same thing with my clients. I do the same thing with other relationships outside of real estate that I want to build, that I have built. And here's where you have to offer real value. It does take time. But I know that the more I give, and I know that the more you give, without expecting anything in return, you do get more at the end or towards the end as you build this. It takes time. Here's what I wrote down. You have to offer real value and contribute to the people around you. They will see you as a necessary part of their life and business. When you operate this way, you begin to want to associate. When you operate this way, people begin to want to associate with you more. It's how I've built my companies over the last 21 years. From working for free with Realtor.com, which I did for years. I helped out Facebook as well, initially like free. But it all starts from offering real value. So you got to ask yourself, what value do I have? And who do I want to attract? Does that value match the audience that I want to attract? And if so, how can I show up like that more often? What can I give? Number 5, significant appreciation. This one, I'm not sure that you've thought of, but if you've heard a few of the last podcasts that I've done when I bring in significance, especially with the LCM strategy or the LCM method, which is like comment message, or talking about feeling significant, the feeling of significance when it comes to connecting with other people fast. This one I learned later in life. And here's what I wrote down, only so I don't screw this one up, because remember, this one was an article that I wrote out. This one I learned later in life, but when you give the other party the ability to feel that they are contributing to your growth and your life, you're making the relationship even stronger. Don't ever forget that a strong relationship also involves receiving. You must receive gracefully from those you are wanting to build relationships with, as well as giving, obviously, right, which was the previous one. But allowing yourself to take something that is being given allows other people or the other person to feel like they're making a difference, and the bond becomes stronger. I think there are 2 things on this that I think of. One, when it comes to talking to people in person, this I'm going to bring social and I'm going to bring in person. But when I'm talking to people in person and they're across from me, it's a client, I'm pitching a listing, or I'm trying to connect with them as a buyer, I've noticed that when I listen to them and I give their opinion value because it means something, it's like, oh, I didn't think about that, or I didn't see it that way. Interesting. Or I like that. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. You're accepting their opinion. and you're giving them significance, and it allows them to connect with you in a different way. And sometimes we don't do that enough. Sometimes we want to be the ones that only bring the value because we think that sets us apart as the authority, but you're wrong. The thing that connects with you, with them, right? The people you want to attract, the thing that allows you to create that bond that you want, this relationship, is the ability to stand back and say, I don't know everything, and thank you so much for showing me that. Thank you for showing me a different way of doing it. I thank you for doing that. For me, it's been a combination of that and also accepting things from people, like whatever it is. Here's the other piece that I remembered when I interviewed Jack Canfield from Chicken Soup for the Soul, or the Success Principles. He brought up something. He said, hey man, I read this book by Gary Chapman. Here it is. He said, 5 Love Languages. That's what it was. 5 Love Languages by Gary Chapman, where he says that appreciation goes both ways and is usually expressed in 5 ways. Words of affirmation, quality time, receiving gifts, acts of service, and physical touch. The key is to identify how the other party or person feels the most appreciated. And I think in a relationship, like where you're connecting with somebody over a longer period of time, it's important to note which one do they fall in there, right? And you could use a different strategy. I just remembered that because that's what Jack Canfield told me when I interviewed him. So that stood out for me. And number 6, the last one, is consistency. This one's self-explanatory. I mean, the more you show up providing that value, and value changes depending on your audience and depending on the culture, right? But the more you show up doing the things above that we talked about, the more you'll connect with people in your life and in business, people that want to grow closer to you. So when you're looking at building these relationships, it takes a long time. And I think that's probably the hardest thing for me to see, because I have to look outward and say, okay, I'm building this and it's not going to pay off for a very long time. And on top of that, I have to continually adapt it, because I have to pay attention to the little nuances and see, well, what is working, what isn't slightly, because I'm not going to see it work a lot. Right? It's like when I'm sending out mailers. I need to pay attention to those 2 or 3 people that responded back until I grow it enough to say, got it. This is now working at a massive level because I paid attention along the way and I showed up consistently. Those are the key ingredients to creating some of the most amazing relationships I've built. Again, this is just my take, right? I've used these exact things to build amazing relationships in my life, as well as to build my personal relationships with my wife over the years. All of the key points involve growth and never-ending improvement, which for some people can become a hassle. But for you, you're in it to succeed at the highest level, and it's going to take commitment over a long period of time. Anyway, hopefully this was helpful. This was part 2. If you missed part 1, go watch it. You need it. Have an awesome day.